welcome to the Anti-Social Hour in beautiful Lake Vancouver, Vancouver, Washington. We're the cute little Vancouver that everybody can afford because we all want to move to the Vancouver that nobody can afford. Hi there. Today we have got a very gorgeous, very, very handsome fella who has a voice that will melt your butter. So hide your mothers, your sisters, your girlfriends, your boyfriends, maybe even your dog. And hopefully I won't mess up his name properly, but it's very fancy. It's a French name, much like my friend Kathy Boudreau. This is Mr. Damion Poitier.
Beautifully stated. Absolutely 100% correct.
Vous avez un clue? No. Damion is not only a voice actor and a mocap actor and a stunt actor, but he also is working on a film, and we are going to talk about all of those things today. And as you well know, he is in a few of the games you might have been playing, including Payday, which I know some of you play. I've seen you on Twitch. I know which one of you guys is playing that game. Sean. Okay. I'm calling you out, Sean. All right. So hi, how are you? Welcome to the
Very well.
neighborhood.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate
Thanks
it.
for being had. I'm glad you got a sense of humor. Otherwise, it's really bad to hear. I've had interviews where people go, "Are you trying to be funny?" No, Mr. Trump, I'm not. No.
Why are you here if you don't want to? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So I'm so excited to talk to you because you are my second Marvel guy.
Oh, really? Who's
Yes,
your first?
Will Champion was our first guy. He was in he's in 20-Sided Tavern, which is also the Dungeons and Dragons stage show, which is fabulous. And I'm sure you'll be on it someday because they're actually coming to the West Coast on a tour. So tap them in and say, "Hey,
Right.
I can do that. I can do that."
Absolutely.
And so tell me a little bit about who you are and where you're from, and where do we learn how to be an actor and all that groovy stuff. Let's start small.
The story of Poitier. All right,
Yeah.
so I'm originally from Philadelphia,
Yes.
and I grew up in Massachusetts.
So have I.
Nice. Native Mass. Where are you from?
I'm a masshole from Boston, actual Boston,
Oh,
not
actually,
Worcester.
fancy masshole from the capital. Ooh.
Yes, yes. Fenway Park is my brother's working space. So
Very cool. Very
yeah.
cool. So
Where were you living up there?
Natick.
Oh, by the mall?
Yeah, exactly.
Framingham and Natick Mall. I know it very well.
Yeah, I was about to say everybody knows the Natick Mall. Like
The only place you could go.
it's like Natick Mall and then Wellesley College. That's how I tell people where I'm from. That's how we get them to know exactly what I'm talking about. So
exactly. The Chateau de Ville, north of Chateau de Ville or south of Chateau de Ville.
exactly. So I was there, and that's where actually Philadelphia is where I discovered my love for theatrical performance and things like that. And it was to take it back. I think I was about 4 years old, and me and my mother were watching television, and I saw a man that looked a lot like my grandfather. And I said,
"Who does your
"Who's
grandfather look like?"
She said, "That's your cousin." I said, "What's he doing?" "He's acting." I said, "Oh, I want to be an actor." And that man happened to be Sidney Poitier.
I love it. I love
So,
it. What a
and
handsome guy.
oh, I mean, I don't even have to say. Everybody's already said it. So it's Sidney Poitier.
I mean, look at this guy, guys.
So afterwards, I kind of reaffirmed that when I realized that acting was the only way I'd be able to do everything. Because as an actor, you can be anybody and do everything. You can be a doctor, you can be an intergalactic conqueror, you can be, whatever, you can be everything.
That's why I went into Renaissance fairs and I've worked for Lucasfilm. Yeah, all that stuff. Same thing.
Wait, did you ever go to King Richard's Fair?
Which one?
King Richard's in
Carver?
Oh,
Carver, Massachusetts? Oh, of course. Eating the turkey legs with my whole face? Of course I have.
Yeah, that was my birthday spot. Every year on my birthday we go to King Richard's Fair. That's how much I'm into medieval, just for people who don't, who think I'm posing or whatever. No,
you are totally my tribe. This is good. This is great. I usually have my costumes behind me, which you can't see because it's blurred, but I have Ren Fair costumes behind me because I was a sword fighter for many years.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I did one of my last favorite gigs. Well, my last favorite stunt gig was sword fighting.
Right on. Did you do rapier? Did you do epic?
No, it was what would they call it? Ooh, I'm in trouble now. I can't remember what it's called.
This is a test. Oh, McClellan. You were doing McClellan's?
No, 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 no. It wasn't human swordsmanship. It was. Hold on, hold on.
Now I'm intrigued.
I'm gonna have to go ahead and hit the interwebs right quick.
Your eye color is stunning. Oh my dog.
Thank you.
Thank your mother or your father.
It was actually skipped a generation. Both my parents have dark eyes.
Wow. You're
Yeah.
so you're
So
so
my grandmother on my father's side had green eyes, and my uncle on my mother's side had hazel eyes.
oh, that's so pretty. I got the
I'm like,
hazel.
wait, great uncle,
Oh, he
great
must have
uncle.
been great. Look at the eyes he gave you.
No,
It's pretty great.
a pleasure. The last time I fought, it was on screen with a curleth.
That's so cool. Yeah, you're definitely my tribe. You guys, you're gonna get so much fan mail after this. You don't even know. So you
So
went to, you did the King Richard's Fair. You did on your birthday because you're a June baby, aren't you?
no, no, no. Well, it says June, but I'm actually September
Ah, okay.
because King Richard's was fall, so it was like right around opening time was when I got to go there. I actually got my first sword at King Richard's Fair.
Nice.
Do you remember Starfire swords?
Yes.
Yeah, my first sword was a Starfire blade. I have it. It's sitting on my wall right now. If we have a good break, I'll run over and grab it so I can show it to the crew.
Right
Or
on.
grab it, or wait, and we'll do it later.
Cool. Either way, it's fine with
Let's try it.
us. Either way, I don't have my rapier anymore. I had to sell it when I was it's so
Oh,
cool.
I also have a rapier on my wall, but I don't want to get too much into swords. But the Starfire is kind
Oh,
of
I
pointy.
could talk swords all day. Yeah, we got to be careful about that. There's no gun control in this house, only sword control.
Right there we go. So there it is.
Woo, look at that. That's a hilt.
Yeah,
Oh,
Starfire. I got
wow.
mocked incessantly for this pommel, but but yeah, this is my first sword.
And that is not an aluminum fake. That is a real deal.
No, no, it's a real blade. I believe it's hard carbon steel. Don't they do high carbon steel? I believe.
Yes, yes, that's beautiful. I
Oh,
go to Hieronymus, and he's from Las Vegas that I go to. It's a brilliant,
nice.
brilliant swordsmith.
Oh
Look
yeah.
at that, it's gorgeous.
Oh yeah, yeah. So that's my first baby. Uh, Fortunately, it didn't take over, but I do have a few more.
Oh. See, we could talk swords all day. This
Oh
is
yeah,
good. I knew we'd get along. This
it seems like this is part one. Just,
yeah,
I'm just saying.
that's cool. See,
This is feeling like part one,
we're
but
just gonna reel you in.
right. So let's see, Carver, Massachusetts. Yep. I grew up in Mass. Spent years discovered my love for performance. I actually was given a scholarship to a camp called. Do you remember? Did you know about Charles River Creative Arts Program?
I did not.
Oh, it was a camp, a performance arts camp in Dover, Massachusetts. And my third grade teacher was friends with the owner. And every day around math class, I would have a stomach ache. And so she called my parents and she's like, I don't know what's going on. You know, he gets a stomach ache like a regular stomach ache. And my parents came and looked at me and goes, he's acting.
He's allergic to numbers.
What? So she was so impressed with how convincingly I had my stomach ache during math class that she told her friend about me, and I was given a scholarship to go there. And I actually met William Hurt
That's so
for
cool.
the
I'm so
first
jealous.
time. Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
so jealous.
So I went there for like all through, for many, many years. And then finally, after high school, I was kind of figuring out what I wanted to do. And I was like, okay, I could go to school and spend a whole lot of money on a degree I'm not going to use, or I can move to Florida and start performing.
Right on.
So I moved to Florida and started performing. I was actually in a singing group when I moved to Florida. And
Let me
interesting.
guess. You're a soprano. No.
Uh, so we were down there for a while and we were R&B and the group was an R&B group and then some of the people wanted to start going pop and I was like I'm not a pop singer, I'm an R&B guy, so if you guys want to do pop, I'm out.
I'm all about Motown, so
Right. So left the group, went and then as we were over there, I actually came into contact with a group of stunt performers who were putting together low budget martial arts movies. And we had, since I was trained in martial arts, we did an audition, and at the audition, they were like, "We should keep your contact information
yeah.
because because big guys don't usually move like you do. So let's get your information."
Let's talk Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and the Bruce Lee movies, please.
Right? I think he still practices a little bit.
Yes, he does.
Tai Chi or something, but I know he's still moving. But
Yes.
so we did that. So those guys, and then I started working at Universal. I was a Ghostbuster for
I
a
was
few years.
Porky Pig at Magic Mountain, so I totally get it.
Right, there you go. Oh, you know exactly where I'm at. And then I was actually was they opened Islands of Adventure right as I started working at Universal, so I was Doctor Doom for 2 years.
Fun.
So that was
And what,
awesome.
you're 6 foot
4.
something. Yeah, you're big. Tall fella.
Got a little size on me.
Yeah,
So and
it's advertised.
while I was working there, the guys from the audition called me up and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna meet up with a big time stunt coordinator. You want to come meet him?" And I didn't know much about stunts at the time, and I'm like, "Yeah." So we went to meet him, and it was actually a like one of the founders of Stunts Unlimited, a stunt legend
Oh,
named Glenn
it,
Wilder.
for those in the film industry, we all know this company. So
Mhm.
this is very cool. This is like
And
it's
it's
like
like
walking into somebody saying, "I think I'd like to go to college," and somebody said, "Yeah, here's a Harvard degree."
100%,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, it was like, "Here, why don't you come?" So we went to his house. He met me. He's like, and he was working on a show called Sheena, Queen of the Jungle.
Yes.
Now the thing about that show was it took place in Africa, but there were only about 5 black stuntmen in Florida at the time. So he threw a couple punches at me, looked at me, goes, "You want to be a stuntman?" And I was like, "Absolutely." So I was
That's
down. I worked
so
on,
awesome.
yeah, I was down. I worked on Sheena for a couple of years. Now working with Glenn gave me a stunt pedigree that was like no other.
No kidding.
Yeah, he's like beyond legendary. So everybody's like, "Oh, who brought you in?" I'm like, "Glenn." They're like, "Oh, okay." And I just so I
Yeah,
never
they don't even have to ask. It's like,
nobody
oh,
questioned anything else. Like they were like, "Oh, come do this." I'm like, "I can't do that." I'm like, "You'll be fine.
you've been overtrained for this. You're fine. That's so cool.
you'll be fine." I'm like,
So
so
you were on horses, you were stabbing people, you were jumping over things, you were
I
going through buildings.
didn't do horses.
No.
Stabbing people, jumping over things, and going through buildings, yes, but horses didn't come in until later.
Wow. Okay, so let's get okay. Keep
Yeah,
going.
we'll get. All right, how can I
No,
sum this
take
up?
your time. This is great. I love this.
So Glenn brought me into stunts, and then everybody else embraced me, and I was there for a couple of years doing stunts. And I was thinking, I really got into the business to be an actor. And I even told Glenn when I came in, I was like, "Yeah, I came." He's like, "Yeah, that's fine. You'll be fine." And so I was like, "Why don't
Worked out
I?"
for Hal Needham. Yeah.
So I'm like, now that I have a little momentum, why don't I move to LA? So shot myself out here to LA, where I've been for many years now. And the wonderful thing about coming in through stunts is I was warmly embraced, and everybody was willing to employ me and things like that. And because I could do some things that other people couldn't, I kept very busy.
It's a
And one of
really
the parts,
strong community, the stunt
oh,
community.
it's well, you think about it, like a lot of bonds are formed through trauma.
Yeah.
And there's nothing as traumatic as, hey, if I do this wrong or you do this wrong, one of us dies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or
It's like
is horribly scarred,
I
or
could shake your hand and go over the building, or we could lose a face, whichever.
right, exactly. So when you're working in that kind of environment, and repeatedly, and you get to know people, and you get to know, your rhythms with them, you really get close.
Yeah.
So the stunt familyhood is incredibly close, and that was both an incredible benefit and a negative. The benefit of it was the phone kept ringing.
Yeah.
Negative of it was the phone was ringing so much that I wasn't able to focus on acting until a few years later.
Right. And then what's her face from all the Tarantino movies? She ended up having to do both at the same time.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah. Yep.
yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Zoe,
The Thurman.
Zoe Bell.
Thank you, Zoe.
Zoe Bell. Yep.
Yes.
So she ended up, yeah, she straddled the thing and did it well. And but she has, it's interesting because it's like, I mean, Anthony Mackie said it, and a lot of people, but success is given, and he's right. So Tarantino glommed on to Zoe.
Oh, of course he did.
And it's like everybody, if you think about it, everybody who's really successful has someone who launches them.
Yep. Yep. You have to
Even
have the skills for them to have faith in you.
absolutely, you
Yeah.
have to have the preparation to meet the opportunity. But unless
Throw
you
in
get
everybody's face every show. So, true.
but so I got out here. I was doing stunts. I was doing acting, pushing back and forth and back and forth. And then there were, the business has been in an interesting state for a few years now.
Yeah, thanks, COVID.
We've had strikes.
We're still having a strike. The voice actors are still having a strike. Yeah.
I know. I have to read through all of my auditions and be like,
I was gonna say,
is it part of the interim agreement or not? What's going,
right? I don't know. It's a student picture. Okay, we okay. We okay.
I don't know if I can do this. Reading fine print is
Exactly. It's
so
under
much.
15 minutes. Okay, phew.
Yeah, okay, we're good. We're
Okay.
good. So so it's just been an interesting, and that's led me into other things. I actually flew to Germany and opened up a horror theme park.
Your own horror theme park?
Well, it was my friend's horror theme park, but
But you helped open it up?
yeah, it was called Terenzi Horror Nights,
That's
and
so cool.
it was one of the guys I moved to Florida with. He went to Germany. Remember I said he wanted to be a pop star?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
he
one of you
actually went to
guys.
Germany and became a huge pop star. So years later, he was like, "Hey, I want to open up a horror theme park in Europa Park, which is basically German's Disney."
That's so cool.
So I
So
flew over
cool.
there and we did that, and that was great. And then so just kind of doing a bunch of different things, but staying in the performance area. Obviously, I managed to scam my way onto. I believe first it was Geek and Sundry,
Hmm.
and I got over there, and I was doing. I was playing some role playing games with them, and then I got to did a few. I was lucky enough to do a few skits for them, and
Mhm.
then they actually gave me my own show a little while. It was called Ask Your Black Geek Friend.
Can you imagine? I'm just picturing Felicia Day going, "Yeah, let's pitch it to him. Let's see
But
what
yeah,
he
let's go.
says."
Let's go. So it was me and B. Dave Walters, who's pretty well known in the TTRPG space.
Yep.
So we
You are
we
totally our tribe. This is great.
came, so we came together. We did that show. We had two or so seasons of that show, and man, that show was a blast.
How did we not meet before? This is amazing to me. Go
It,
ahead.
there are a few people who are like, just we're orbiting each other, but you're just obviously one of those people who are just orbiting the heck out of each
I
other,
was
but
in
never
Penn and Teller for a while, so I was
right.
working with them, and so that was 13 years out of my life.
Right.
That's
Okay. So you were doing that thing, and I was over here doing this thing. So, but now
right.
we're together. So all is well in the universe.
That's right. We banged the heads when we needed to.
Exactly. Exactly. So, yeah, we did Ask Your Black Geek Friend, and then I continued on, and then obviously I've done some performing since then. I was Avengers, Civil War,
Yes,
Flash.
do tell. You're also the voice of some little character who's nobody ever heard of. Just a mild, small voice that just appeared maybe once in the film and became the freaking franchise. You were the voice of Thanos. Yeah,
I was the face.
the
There was no
face of Thanos.
It was Alexis Denisov was speaking in the scene. I
Oh,
was the guy in the makeup.
oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
I just put my hand down, stood up, turned around, and smiled.
And what a smile it is.
Yeah, so that was my gig in that, and then
That's
the
so
crucial
cool.
realization that I don't have anything set up to be able to hold on to this role at all, and I signed an NDA, so I can't tell
You
anybody that
can't
I
talk
did
about
it
it
in order
naturally.
to build, yeah, the situation that would allow that to continue. So that was a very interesting circumstance.
Yeah, we
But
talk a little bit about NDAs, and we have a lawyer that's going to be talking to us in a couple of weeks, and we're going to be talking a lot about
oh,
NDAs.
really? Oh, yeah, NDAs are great. There's two things I love about NDAs. Well, actually, there's one thing I hate, one thing I love. The thing I hate about NDAs is you can't talk about stuff. The thing
Right.
I love about NDAs is if you don't want to talk about something, you can just claim an NDA.
That's right. That's
You're
right.
like, "No, no, sorry, NDA,
Sorry,
can't
get
talk about
NDA.
that. NDA, yeah, just
Yep. Sorry. Those three
yeah,
letters. Yep.
yeah. Love to tell you the whole scoop. Sign the paper. Can't do
Yep.
it.
Great.
So yeah, so Thanos, and then I moved on to DC Universe and did some Flash, ran around the Flash for a while, did a bunch of episodes of 6 episodes of that, and there's been other things that I can't think of right now.
Yeah, your IMDb is fairly impressive.
I've done a few things. I
And
always
those little films are, I mean, I've been watching some of those. Those are pretty
like I
amazing.
don't talk much about the stunt stuff as much because I'm pushing the acting, but
Yeah.
it's not like when I was coming up and trying to bridge that gap, it was a much bigger thing to be both. It's not anymore, and I'm still retraining my brain to be like, you can talk about your stunts. It's okay.
Yeah,
People
we're
will
from that weird generation where we're not allowed to talk about, if you're doing music, you're not supposed to be an actor. Yeah.
exactly. It's like if you're a superstar, you can do everything. If you're not, you can only do one thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
But now
like
everybody's ego
I'm
driven.
still training my brain. Talk about the stunts. Talk about because I did a few seasons of Angel. I when I got out here, I worked on every show that was. There was only one show that had stunts on it that was on my list that I did not work on.
Which is?
Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I worked on Alias. I worked on Angel. I worked on it was everything that was shooting at the time when I got here. I worked on everything except Buffy. And then the stunt coordinator of Buffy hired me on his very next show, which was Alias. I was like,
Also, it's like all stunt show, which is
yeah, yeah. And I was like, dude, but but stunts has been incredibly warm and gracious, and it's like I said, like you talk about, the community is just ridiculous. Like even now, I
yeah.
get calls every once in a while. Somebody's like, "You want to Like when I was fighting with the curlet, that was one of those calls. I'm just gonna plug this one quick. So I'm sitting there and I'm minding my business and I'm like, okay, what am I doing? I had episode of The Flash coming up in what was it? I usually shot in October,
Mhm.
you know, and I was kind of like I was working on a video game. I was actually writing a video game and performing in a
Nice.
video game, and I get a call, I get a text message, and it's like, hey, you still doing stunts? And I'm like, not really. I'm kind of, ish. And he goes, oh, so you don't want to come on Picard and be Worf's stunt double?
Ow, ow, my arm. Oh, it's just twisting so
I was
bad.
like, what's my call time?
I did stand up with Michael Dorn, and that
Oh,
was
he's awesome.
he is so funny. You
He's
guys
awesome.
have similar voices too.
So let me tell you. So we did there's this one sequence we did, and he comes up to me and he goes, Damion, I saw the sequence that you worked on the other day, and I have to tell you, it was awesome. And I'm just sitting there. I'm sitting there in the makeup chair. He's done. I'm in the makeup chair getting my work makeup on, and he says that to me. I'm going like this, like inside.
you, you can't smile because my makeup's coming
Yeah,
up.
we're on set. Maintain, maintain. We're on set. You must maintain. And somehow he managed to get out of the out of the trailer before I was
Oh,
like,
cool. Meanwhile, inside you're like
yeah. I was like,
happy tappy toe dance, Muppet arms, everywhere.
so I was like, okay, well, I mean, can't nobody tell me nothing after that.
Right?
I'm like,
Floating, floating.
you got nothing to say to me after that. So that was just a few years ago, and that was awesome. And then
Oh,
obviously Flash was amazing. Like I had so much fun on that set with those people. Like we still chat.
what a
Like
good
it's
crowd of folk, huh?
yeah, oh yeah. Like that was one of the yeah. They were just
Were
it
they
was
shut up in Canada or were they shut down
yeah,
in
we were in
that's right,
Vancouver.
yeah. The pretty Vancouver with all the money. Yeah.
So and then so then I was working on the video game, and then everything 2024 everything kind of grounded to a halt. Like it was just like crickets.
Yeah.
Like everything stopped. We were on strike. The video games were all contracting.
Yeah.
You remember all the video games, like
Yeah,
all
and
the
everybody was getting laid off left and right too.
yeah, they were well, big companies were buying the smaller companies and then
Yeah,
shut.
and everybody was shutting down and trying to figure out who was going to go where.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it was a massacre. It was just and so 2024 was a rough year.
Ugh.
And in 2025, I came into 2025 thinking I'm coming and swinging. I had like 3 or 4 projects I was pushing. I was like, all right, let's go, let's go. I was ready to go. I was bobbing, I was weaving, I was ready to
Come
go.
on, planet Earth, let's have it.
And then California caught on fire.
You didn't lose anything, did you?
I was incredibly fortunate,
Ugh.
like incredibly fortunate. I stayed clear of everything.
Ugh.
Only thing I lost was a couple opportunities.
As you do. Four-letter
So
F word, that fire thing.
once again,
It's a four-letter F word. Fire.
yeah. So that was wretched. And it's kind of in the midst of all that, we skipped over the whole horse circumstance. So let me rewind.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've always had an interest in horses, but I never actually had like the opportunity or the setup to make it happen.
Mhm.
So where I live now, I'm about 45 minutes outside of the city, so there's a little more things going on, and it just so happens there's a horse ranch 4 minutes from me.
Wow. See, I
Yeah,
was up in Santa Clarita and it was like that too.
yeah, there's like horse ranches everywhere. So
Yeah.
like, but there's like it was 4 minutes from me.
Wow.
So when I was doing the video game, I was working on the video game, and I have never had a desk job before.
Good for you.
Oh, well, I now have, but I've never had like a full on desk job that was like, and like, have you ever worked on the other side of gaming? You ever done game dev stuff?
You personally? Yes. Yes.
Okay, so you know
Absolutely.
what, so you know how.
I know how crazy, and I've done directing and I've done script writing and I've done development where you
Okay, so you know exactly how absolutely insane it is.
yes. And I
It's
worked
insane.
at EA for a little while, which is just
Okay, yeah. So you know about 4 different departments telling you they need the same, like different things at the same
and
exact time.
yeah, we want that color red. You got the wrong color red. You got the wrong color red. No, this guy is fighting with this guy, but what color red you guys need? Yes.
Yeah, but they both need it
That
right now.
minute. Yeah. That very minute.
Yeah, vertical slice. That was an incredible experience for me, learning how that works. And
When
I'd
somebody
like
walks up to you and say your particle physics are a little broken. What?
to. I just,
Sorry.
and I like to say, I wrote it with aplomb, and I didn't. I was just crushed. Like mentally, I was just like, this is,
When you
whoa.
handed a spreadsheet for the first time and they're saying, write your script, and you're like, but this is a spreadsheet. That's math. I have a stomach ache.
Yeah, it was so many things to so many different angles, and I was just starting to kind of implode a little bit. And so my wife, who's been a lifelong equestrian, was like, I know how to fix this. You need a horse. And
I love your wife.
I'm like, a horse is going to fix this? How does that? And so she spent 7 months, 3 to 4 hours a day on the internet trying to find me the perfect horse, because it wasn't just a horse; it had to be the perfect horse, right?
Of course.
Now, obviously, me being a larger guy, most horses won't work for me, so we
Yeah,
had to find something.
you need to have a certain, for those who are unaware about horses. I haven't talked about this much, but I went through the whole thing with PTSD therapy, Monty Roberts group, and all that
Oh,
stuff.
so you know about? Oh, cool. We can.
Oh,
Like I
we
said,
can horse talk. Oh,
this is
and
part
I've been
one.
writing
Go
since
ahead.
I was 7 years old, English and eventing, and so I know all about dressage and jumping and everything,
Right.
and therapy horses. So we're good.
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
And
So
your wife just broke you into this.
yeah, she was like, "You need a horse." Well, and I was actually taking lessons on a horse, but I'm a big guy. They had one horse I could kind of take lessons on, and they were doing it as a favor because, fortunately, every once in a while, when you do stuff like work on entertainment, people kind of cut you a little break. And because I was an entertainer, and yeah, they were like, you know what, we'll put you on the horse. And I was riding him for a while. He was great, but my wife's like, you need your own.
Yeah,
And so I was on a good video game contract. When you get on those contracts, it's not bad. Everything was going good. I was like, all right, you know what? This is going for a couple more years.
it's the
We'll,
timing.
we'll get a horse. We'll get a horse. So she spent all that time, bada bada bada, and she found Sammi. Have you ever? I don't know if you. I know you've ridden. Have you ever owned?
Yes, I had my baby Skunk and my
Okay.
other baby D'Artagnan. Those are my two horses. I had
Oh,
a
really? Good thing?
gorgeous. D'Artagnan is my Appaloosa, who
Okay.
just passed away not too long ago. And
Oh, you have horses now?
no, not anymore. We left.
Oh,
I was living in. Yeah, it's a long story, but
okay.
did, but
One of
not.
the other parts within that.
Yeah. We'll have that for a horse part too.
Right, right. So yeah, but the whole fun of finding a horse, all the
Oh, yeah.
different they try out. Oh yeah, that was like one of the horses. I signed up for the service, and the horse they found for me. I walked up, and the horse went. I was
I don't know.
I don't think it's gonna work. He was like,
My horse D'Artagnan hated children, and
oh
this is
no.
how he ended up with me because he was in a riding ring for a school, and they were like, "Oh yeah, this horse is. I don't know if we can sell him to you because he's kind of difficult." And I walked up to him, and he's like, "I love you," and I thought, "Okay, why?" And then I realized there's little children walking around, and he just sauntered over to this little boy, just planted a foot right on the kid's, and he was doing it to every kid he saw. It. I was like, "This
Ooh.
is my horse."
Like, this horse hates kids.
Yeah.
Amazing. So yeah, so when I went to meet Sammi, first of all, she had to send video and pictures of me with horses before I could even meet him. Like they were like, "This is an incredibly special horse who has to be with the absolute right person."
Right.
Period. The end. So it was like it's a whole interview process. They talked for hours. Finally, it was like, "Okay, come meet Sammi."
Like adopting a child.
It really is. It really like if you do it right and you're with the right situation.
Yeah.
So we drive down. I get out. They open up the thing and he goes. And I go.
To the
And it
nuzzle.
was it was kismet. It was kismet. We were
Aw.
just we went on a trail ride. We just hung out with him, walked around with him for a bit. My wife made sure she could handle him too, because obviously having much more horse knowledge, she was going to be a big part of his care and everything like that.
And
And
there's photos of you on Instagram with this.
oh yeah, all the
He's
social.
just like nuzzling his
Oh,
you.
he's always on. Like we just like I got some footage last Thursday, and I'm trying to cut it together, but he's like they say in your pocket. He like he's in my pants.
He's wearing your socks.
He really is. He's all over me. It's insanely amazing, and like that was exactly what I needed to get through the mental. Because for those who don't know, I know you know this, obviously. One of the wonderful things about horses is that you have to learn mindfulness
Yes. And you have to be in the moment all the
because
time.
you're dealing with a 11 to Sammy's about 22 to 2,500 pound animal, and it's a prey animal and it's a pack animal. So if you come in there like the horse is like, cool, something's gonna eat us, we gotta run. So you very quickly learn to marshal your emotions and get yourself centered when dealing with horses because
You have
there's
to
no
be the
option.
calm one. You have
You,
to be the
you
one that,
yeah,
they
you
need to look at you as you're going to keep me safe.
right, 100%. Especially you being on their back because when they decide to go and you're on their back, you're going with them.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Got a few cruises.
Right. Fortunately, all the cruises that he's taken, I had managed to stay with him. But
Good.
but so that was incredibly helpful for me for keeping myself level and obviously getting out into nature, getting on the trails and just kind of being away from all that and being with this incredible being that was just about love. He's all about love, and he helped me get my head together. He helped heal me. He got me right where I needed to be able to continue. And then in October of 2024 was it October was no sorry September of 20. Now he had been healthy the whole time we've been together,
Yeah.
and like come like late August, I kind of noticed he was a little off, but I didn't know exactly what was going on. And I'm like, and every time horses, every time I would ask somebody to watch, he would act right. He's like,
Yeah.
I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine,
Fine.
I'm fine.
Everything's great.
Yeah,
Don't look at
I'm good. I'm good. No, you don't need to drive me away from the pack, from the herd. I'm good.
Yep.
No, I'm fine. I'm good to be part of the herd.
My
But I just
mask is on.
right. I just kind of felt I'm like something off. And then finally, he colicked. It was the first time he'd ever colicked, and he went down and he had a mass, and we had to send him in, and it was horrific and horribly frightening and hardly expensive.
He's still young, yeah?
He's only 13.
Yeah. Horses, for those who don't know, Daniel lived to be almost 30, which
Yeah,
is
so
they can hang on for a bit.
they can hang on for a while. So he went in the hospital, and while he was in the hospital, well, actually, yeah, while he was in the hospital, and the vet who was seeing him, they said he's got DSLD.
Explain to the public what this means, because this.
DSLD is degenerative suspensory ligament desmitis. So, and it's interesting, and you'll find this interesting. He also has PSSM1.
Baby's he's been able to
That's
carry you this whole time.
But that's not as bad because that's just horse diabetes. That can be managed. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? But I'm finding out there's like two or three other horses that have PSSM1 that now have DSLD. So one of the things I'm going to be investigating in the doc is that.
See
See
if
if
there's
there's
a
a connection between
pancreatic
those.
connection.
Yeah, see if there's any kind of connection between that because I could see whereas because PPSM is basically horse diabetes, so there's uh, there's a imbalance, and if that imbalance is causing the right nutrition not to get to the right muscles to cause the situation. So DSLD basically, and I said before, horses walk like this,
Yeah.
and with when they're the heel comes down, comes back up.
Yeah.
With DSLD, that starts to fall, and that pulls the whole body out of alignment, and that's painful, and it's usually fatal. Sometimes they can hang on for a while.
Yeah, like
Sometimes
they'll
not.
they'll do sport splints on them and things like that. But
Yeah,
water therapy, I've seen a lot of horses in water therapy that have gone.
there's a lot of different, there's water therapy, there's splints, there's actually stem cells.
Yeah, that's
77% improvement.
amazing.
So, and then there's, PEFM. Have you seen that?
I have not.
And red light therapy, chiropractic. There's a bunch of different stuff you can do.
Very practical. Actually, there was a massage therapist who used to come to the stables all the
Oh
time.
yeah. We have a couple that come to the ranch. Ashley Curry. She's was a wild shape equine. She's awesome.
Wow.
She comes through the ranch.
Well, if you have
But
a link to the person that you recommend, we'll put it in the
yeah,
page.
I'll get you a link. You can. Yeah, she's amazing.
Cool.
But so there's a bunch of things you can do. Here's the trick. That all costs money. And I got laid off at the end of 2024. So I'm looking at this horse who's been incredible and who saved my life and who's like literally saved my life and who's awesome
Yeah.
and who's like, I call him my other half. He is my other half. So I'm looking at him,
And your
and
wife totally gets it. And I know she's not jealous, so it's good.
oh no, they have. He will walk through me to get to her.
Aw,
I'm
see,
his person. She's his favorite person.
yeah, she's the mama. He's mama's boy.
Yeah, yeah. He's daddy's guy, but he's mama's boy. So I'm looking at it. I'm like, okay, what am I gonna do? I'm not. He's not ready to go. You know, because they tell you
Yeah,
he's not
absolutely.
ready to go.
We're going through this with my dog right now. Yeah,
Oh yeah. Ugh.
yeah, it's horrible.
But he's not ready to go. I'm not ready to let him go. What do I do here? And I'm looking around. I'm like, okay, I got to figure something out. So I put my thunking cap on, and I'm like, well, wait. We've gone viral a few times,
Let's
and like
put this to
to tune,
use.
hmm?
Let's put this viral stuff to use.
To the tune, we're like about 25 million hits. Like we've gone viral, like heavily viral, and I'm
That's
like, okay,
freaking. That's like tidal wave viral.
yeah, like, but well, it's not on the same video. It's like several different videos, but
But
you know,
still,
I can go viral with this guy,
yeah,
and every time we go viral, we get a bunch of questions about equestrianism. People are like, "Oh, I didn't know horses were affectionate. Oh, what kind of horse is that?" Like, there's a litany of questions about horses. I've only been in it for like 5 years. I don't know that much, you know, but I'll do some research and things. And as I was researching all these different questions and getting all this information, I'm like, there's a lot.
a whole.
Like this rabbit hole is deep.
It's a horsey hole.
Yeah, a horsey hole is like because I'm realizing they're one of the keys to human advancement.
Yes,
Like
yes.
we are not here without horses, like at all.
The Mongol. I was just. We were just watching this the other night. My husband and I were watching the Mongolian history and it was the whole
Oh
horse.
yeah, the original horses that were originally domesticated. Yeah, yeah. It's so I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, wait, viral horse, lots of questions, performer, wonderful horse, documentary.
Perfect combination.
So I'm crowdfunding a documentary. It's called Saving Sammi, and it's got two aims.
Where is it? Where is it crowdfunding on?
We're on GoFundMe.
Okay, go for me. Okay, we'll make sure that link's in there too.
Thank you. We got two aims. Aim number one, obviously the personal aim, save Sammi.
Yes.
You know, get them the acorn, get them the water therapy, get them the stem cells, get them the massages and the chiropractic, all those things. Get a real good close up on his diet. You know,
Yeah.
with the blood test and everything, so we know what PSSM1 things we need to be doing.
It helped
All
millions of other horses or thousands.
say again.
It can help thousands and thousands of other horses.
And that's the thing, getting all that information together and then presenting it. You know, bringing everybody with me from every little bit, every aspect of training. But there's a second part to this, which is answering the questions. And answering the questions means I have to go out and learn more about horses.
Right.
Because a big part of me wonders if I was a better custodian, if I had known more about horses when I owned him, would I have been a better custodian? Would I have noticed exactly what I needed to notice sooner to avoid what happened?
You go through the whole what ifs.
Yeah,
What if?
right. And
You
it's like
basically
so
have to get a UC Davis veterinary brain going.
for real. It's like there's so much about horses, you know. I mean, like one of the things that like one of the like kind of weird things I found out. I'm a Taekwondo martial artist. That's the martial arts I you know back to stunts things yada yada, bringing it all back. And one of the most like influential kicks in martial arts, one of the most exciting ones is well now there's a lot more, but one of the originals was the flying sidekick,
Mhm.
right? I found out the flying sidekick was developed to knock soldiers off of horses.
Yes. I do know this.
So that ties into horsemanship. You know, I just
You've been
found out
building your whole life to this. You just didn't know it.
seriously,
Mhm.
like Charlie Parrish, who Beth Parrish does. Wow, it's inspired writing.
Uh-huh.
Her husband just told me I didn't realize dressage is all. I'm sure you know this. It's all soldier stuff. It's all a
Yes.
war stuff
Yes.
that
So
was transformed into a
yep.
dance.
Yep.
So basically, dressage is horse capoeira.
Yep. It is. It is. When he says nothing like a Brazilian horse, boy.
But it's so it's like, but there's so many things. The height of street lamps
Yeah.
is top of the carriage, so the carriage driver could light them and put them out.
Yep.
You know,
Exactly so. Yep.
train tracks. You know, because the horses were originally pulling the trains.
Oh, that's right. I didn't even
Train
think
tracks,
about that.
which
Wow.
means carriages, which means cars.
Which means they had to be wide enough for two animals.
So it's like but there's so many, and that's like very horsepower.
Yeah,
They
literally.
call it horsepower.
Yeah.
The very unit of measurement by which we measure mechanical power.
Did you know? It's
Yeah,
all
like I said, that horsey hole is so like there is so much information that can be shared about horses and the horse human connection, and that's not even getting into what you and I went through, which is horse therapy,
yes.
the bioelectric field, the mindfulness, the emotional call and response.
Just
The
holding,
fact that
just holding that neck and smelling that neck of a horse's
oh
neck is one of my favorite smells. Like if Stephen Colbert had ever asked me that question, what's your
right
favorite smell? Horse's neck, without even thinking.
yeah yep it's just so there's like so it's like I can not only go through everything I can do to rehabilitate Sammy, I can also do a deep dive into the human equestrian connection.
Oh, it's brilliant. This is going to be
And
so.
this is like this goes on until I stop. There's so much stuff, farming, logging.
It could
Like
end
there's
up being
just
a series of films, not just
oh
one.
that's what oh no,
Yeah,
it's a series. It's a documentary series.
yeah.
It's not a single film. There's no way
Yeah,
to make
it would be amazing to see it, microscopically small, but I think you've got so much there.
right. Well, no,
Yeah.
my format is 11-minute YouTube
Mhm.
segments, and I'll do 4 segments for each subject matter.
Wow.
So it'll be partitioned for TV,
Mhm.
but it'll be on YouTube
Mhm.
because I'm crowdfunding it. I want accessibility.
Brilliant.
So putting it on YouTube. And like I want to go so far. Like I worked with you remember the sports science show?
Uh,
The sports
uh,
science shows where they would do like the 3Ds in the body and things like that.
yes, yes, yes,
I
yes.
worked with that team. I'm calling those guys and we're gonna do horse stuff with them.
Oh, that's gonna be so cool.
Like I want to do the full spectrum here.
You should talk to the Monty Roberts people because they
Oh,
do
everybody. I want to talk to
everybody.
everybody and like really put together like a good like documentary series that goes through how many different ways we have interacted with these creatures, how many different ways we're interacting with these creatures, how
It's so
much they help
symbiotic.
us.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's an insane rabbit hole, horsey hole.
wow. It's so exciting. It's so
Thank you,
exciting.
thank you.
Wow. And you just because your heart is so there, I know it's going to be a monster thing for
Oh
you,
yeah,
for
I'm
everybody
like
that
the
watches it.
plans. I'm like I have trouble getting things down fast enough
Yeah,
with the big plans, and
that's
then
how you know it's the right thing.
right, I got to get somebody to cord me in and be
You
like,
got to
okay,
get corralled.
yeah, I definitely need exactly. I need to get corralled and somebody to be. See, that's years versus a few years, many years or stuff. Few years. But I got to get corralled and get everything like dialed in. But I know like I said, I know the format. I know what I want to do. So now the biggest part for me, and obviously you are helping me immensely with that, is getting the word out.
Well, we're going to make sure that. Do you have a trailer that's on the GoFundMe page?
Oh yeah,
We're going to put the trailer in the
yeah.
middle of this video too.
Well,
So
it's not so much a trailer as it is
a
a
little
like
clip.
there's a 15 to 30 and a 1 minute kind of cut of just kind of explaining the situation.
Cool.
So
We're
I'll
definitely
get
going to
all
make
those
sure
to you.
that's part of the. In fact, Muhammad, just so you know, this is where it goes. Okay.
Trailers here.
Yeah, trailer. Yeah, exactly. Muhammad, this is where the trailer goes. There we go.
and
All right, Denny.
and the
And now
and the
back to
right,
the.
now back to the conversation. Now
Okay.
now the trailer and the campaign is not the show.
Right.
Like I'm still getting into some things and showing some things, but it's mostly uh, getting stuff together because as you well know, when you hire people, it's nice to be able to pay them.
No kidding. No
And
kidding.
I want to hire the right people to do these things. I want to hire the right crew. I want to hire the right, all of the different experts I want to talk to. I want to pay them for their time.
Yeah.
I would like to take care of the people who are going to help me bring more of this. And I know there's going to be people who are going to be like, no, 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 I'm just going to come and do the show. But there's also going to be people who will be like, be nice to get a little, So we want to have the
How about an
opportunity,
honorarium for the
right?
secretary? Yeah.
Exactly. For the people who are doing that. So I want to make sure that I have all the pieces I need together to make it precisely like what I'm trying to do here, which is just share the human horse connection, just share these keys to human advancement with they have affected us in so many ways we don't even know. I'm
Ugh,
still learning every day. I learn something new
I can't
about.
even tell you what it was like the first time when I went to a therapy session for a horse, which was 40 years after I first rode a horse, because I'm a little bit older than you. Um, but
Maybe.
I just turned 61 on Wednesday. So, so
Maybe a little bit.
a little bit. Fat don't crack. So we've got the first time I went to a therapy session for horse, I had gone through all the stuff with the VA. because I'm a Navy veteran, and but people who know that story will know that story. But it's been a long, horrible story, and I got invited to be part of this horse therapy group, and I checked it out, and it was like the first time this beast that you've never met just comes to you, fully trusting you that you are the safe person in this big squad of noisy people and noisy animals. You are the safe person, and they rest their little faces right here on your shoulder, and they just sit with you.
Yeah.
Just tears, just total tears.
Oh yeah. No, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I know you do.
'Cause Sammy has been. That's like all my other half. He's all of that for me. Whenever I'd be in a bad mood, I'd come in. He'd just start, mess with me and nuzzling me. He's hugged me. He does the head thing. That's our thing. He comes in and he just
I love
nuzzles
when
on
you
my head.
tickle their noses and they.
Yep. Mm-hmm. He loves scritches. He's like, I have to go. Yeah, I have to go in. Like when I walk into his paddock now, he doesn't even like, his head goes right by me and he goes right to his.
Where's the spot? Give me the spot.
He's like scritch. He's like scritches. Yeah, he goes right to. Yeah, my wife calls me a scritch bitch. Like scritch bitch.
Yes, sir.
but but like it's been so transformative for me to obviously and I just there's just so much to be told, there's so much to be taught, there's so much to be you know
When I went to summer camp, and I went for many, many years because it was daycare for my dad. But I was in charge of the horse ring for 3 of those years. And we had a boy with Down syndrome. He used to come to camp every year just because we had horses. And we didn't treat him like differently than any of the other kids.
right.
We treated him like, a kid who liked horses.
Yeah.
And by the end of the summer, you would see him every year. He would grow a little bit, mentally he was about 6 or 7, but maybe about 4 or 5 years after that, you could see him. He's reading at a fifth grade level, which he never did before. He reads to the horse, which he never did. He's taken
Right.
his time to take, you know, a thing that's outside of himself. Because a lot of the times, when you're going through your stuff, whether it be a genetic illness, which he was going through, or whether it be psychological issues, which I was going through, and I'm sure you were going through.
Right.
When you get out of yourself and you're into that space where nothing else matters but that moment, and when things are happening for the positive, all you do is grow, and that's beautiful. So
it's
beautiful.
it's insane. Like, have you I've heard about, I haven't watched it yet, the documentary Horse Boy. Have you seen that one?
I have not.
So there's a documentary called Horse Boy, and it's about a father moved his son, his autistic son, non-verbal autistic son, and they moved right next to a guy who had an older horse. And the boy was always out by the horse, always out looking at the horse, everything. The horse would come over, and they just kind of formed up a link.
Mhm.
So the father finally went to the owner and said, "Hey, my son and your horse have this like insane relationship. Can I put my son on your back? My son on his back?" And he's like, I don't know, the details because I haven't seen it yet, but I got to watch this documentary.
Mhm.
He puts his son on the horse's back, and they have a conversation. For the
Oh,
first time, his nonverbal son spoke to him, and they had a full-on conversation due
wow.
to whatever
I got
magic.
goosebumps.
Yeah, yeah, due to whatever magic was happening with him and the horse.
That's amazing.
And
And
it's
that's,
just like,
that's what happened. I'm convinced animals and laughter are the two biggest cures we have in this world.
absolutely. And nature.
And nature, absolutely. Yeah.
Have you ever been to the? Oh, I mean, you're in Washington. Have you been to the redwoods, the giant trees?
Yes, I lived outside San Francisco for a little while, and I
Okay.
lived literally 30 feet from the ocean, and
Nice.
the redwoods were behind us. So yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. So the trees, the trees also, like, it's nature.
Yeah.
We're creatures. We're part of nature. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's
When you're
like,
breathing in the same rhythm as the wind,
uh,
it's the best feeling in the world.
it just resyncs everything. Everything gets back to where it's supposed to be. Your
Mhm.
body starts firing on all cylinders instead of adjusted
I
cylinders.
think that's why I love summer camp so much as a kid. Back to summer
Right.
camp, because living in the city of Boston, it was
Right.
just city. Natick, just a mall,
Yeah.
and 9. So,
So getting out and being able to just breathe and just be.
B.
Nothing allows you to be like like
Mhm.
animals in nature.
Ain't that the truth?
Yep, yep. So, so we talked about geeky stuff. We went into this kind of serious.
And on that happy note,
Right?
exactly. We're just meditating,
Right.
titillating with the planet.
Right.
It's
Just
just,
get your vibes going and just
yeah,
make sure you do your
you
all.
know, my mantra is do not step in the dog poop.
Right.
That's my backyard.
I know that backyard. I
This is amazing. Okay, we still have some time. I just want to ask you more. I love this. I love this. I love that you're doing this for Sammy, and I love
Like I
that
said, part
Sammy
one.
is your family, and
Oh,
I love that he has you. This is so cool. This is going to be. I know that this is going to be one of our many conversations on the show and whatever. But I
awesome.
love when people love animals so much that they're willing to take a bigger step and get outside of themselves and just like,
It's a win all around. It was so many wins involved in this idea. Like there's no loss for anybody across the board here.
right?
Everybody wins. And that's where like if I can find something like that,
Yeah.
then I found out you know everybody gains, and that's like how often are you able to find a circumstance like that?
Yeah. Now I never had kids, so I don't know if it's something like that at all. But my kids have always been furry kids for very similar reasons. That they're better therapy than for me.
the, the fur ones are well well from what I understand the fleshy ones put you in therapy. The
Yes,
furry
yes,
ones.
yes, exactly, exactly. Same with my ex-husband. So no, no. But yeah, it's exactly that. It's like I always thought that we had this conversation with an actor I was talking to last week. Is that she also is, of an age. We're both saying, we're both past that age where we would ever want kids. And we both looked at each other. Nope, never even thought about it. Nope. Nope.
Yeah, kids are a whole thing. They're a
Yeah,
whole
yeah.
whole
I like my toys and my dogs and my
right.
cats and I had chinchillas and rats. I was a rat trainer for many years. So
Really?
yes, that was
Oh,
I rat
we gotta
trained.
have so many more conversations. You let me
Oh
drone
yeah,
on. You should be taught. Well, I'm sure it's. You know what? I'm gonna go through your backlog and
yes.
land on that, and then we'll have a conversation, and I'll be informed. Because right now I'm like,
Who is this person and where is she from? And she was in Second City, and
right,
she was on K Rock for many years. Yeah,
amazing. Yeah,
I've done a lot of stuff.
you got stuff
Yeah.
that I need to be up on. I'm not up on game. I need to
Well,
get
what's
on.
great is that I've lived most of my, and not it's just about you, but I've lived the most of life being somebody who connects with other people, moments, just moments and moments and moments. So I know the right person to hook up with the right other person.
Right.
That seems to be like what I
One
do.
of your.
I say, why don't I
I
make it into a talk show? Why don't I just do that?
I love doing that when yeah building a connection, finding somebody like obviously I worked on Angel,
Yeah.
and then I also worked on the film The Losers,
Uh-huh.
and so I was doubling Idris Elba, and I was fighting JDM, right? So
I would like to double Idris Elba. I'll triple him. I don't know. In front of his wife.
so, so I'm at Comic Con, and working on Angel, I became real good friends with Ben Edlund, who created the Tick, and who's you
Richard
know
Edlund was my old boss. Go ahead, keep going. His
so
dad.
so so we're at a party,
Uh,
and uh, I see Ben, who's currently working on Supernatural, and I
right.
see JDM, who obviously, you know, was one of the launchers of Supernatural, and
Sure.
do you guys know each other? And they're like, no, and I'm like, come here. So, I got so I got to introduce those two and just step back and just
I
watch
love
them.
it. And then you just
Oh,
watch it sparkle.
yeah, and I'm like,
At
that's
least it's working.
oh yeah,
Go away, let it happen.
I love to bring two people who like I'm so glad we've been brought together.
Yeah,
Like, but you know what I mean. But it's the same kind of thing. I love bringing two people who absolutely should know and being each other's circle
that's it.
together so that they can.
And we didn't even talk
Uh,
Renaissance fairs enough, and we didn't even talk about.
I said this is part one. We gotta.
I
This,
know because our hour was just about up, and I hate doing that, but
yeah.
It's only an hour-ish show. So
Right. Right.
don't cry. Please don't cry for me, R2D2. So, I'm sure you have a lot of a lot more stories there.
It was the wasn't that R2's? Yeah.
I have an R. Oh, you can't see it. I have an R2 over there, little robot. I have a bunch of
That's
little robots.
that is the one fandom I have yet to crack.
Ah, oh, now you've
I've
just put it out there in the universe.
been in everything else but Star Wars.
It's out there now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's
And
out
I and I've been I got asked availability on a Star Wars show. Yeah, they were after availability, but it didn't end up going my way. But that's the one fandom.
wait, I am that you know the right people.
It's only a matter of time.
If
I
worst
will
comes
talk
to
to them
worst,
all.
you'll end up in one of the video. If worst comes to worst, like that's a bad thing. You'll end up in one of the video games, which are ginormous.
Doesn't matter as
Yeah,
long as I'm in there.
exactly, exactly. I'll play Uncle Bones, Uncle something. I know how
Whatever,
to do this in a bar.
right? I'm collecting fandoms like Infinity Stones, literally. I got a lot.
Just my favorite kind of ask a black nerd. This is so
Yeah,
great.
yeah, yeah. Star Wars is my final Infinity Stone. I've gotten all the rest. You
See,
know,
my thing is I've worked with every mine. I didn't get to meet mine. My big thing was I got to work with a lot of my favorite legend comedians. Like I got to meet Danny Kaye and I got to meet blah blah blah. The one person I never got to meet was Phyllis Diller. That's another story for another time, but that's a teaser for a later story. So
that sounds. I got it. It was so you guys almost met but didn't.
so many times with so many people involved.
Oh,
It's like it should be its own TV show. Just this,
she
just
was
the
your unicorn, huh?
how I didn't meet, yeah, how I didn't meet your mother. Yeah, that was like that. It's just
Amazing.
that. But I do have letters from her, which is nice.
Oh, oh,
So,
so it was like there was like
oh, there was her
oh
secretary has my phone, or had my phone number in her Rolodex. I mean, the big paper things they used to do.
right. Oh yeah, yeah, I remember.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Mhm.
So I mean, it had almost happened so many times with so many like big name people. You would go, they even.
And it just couldn't quite line
It
it up.
just was the one cootie shot I couldn't get from them. It's another story.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. It's okay. I'll recover. That's why I had to go to horse therapy, really. That's the only reason. I
Was I didn't get to meet Phyllis still. I understand.
didn't get to meet
You know,
Phyllis. And Mom's Mabley died before I got to meet her, too.
right.
So she's my other big hero that I never got to meet.
Yeah, it's a shame when you start realizing, wait, well, they're not going to be around forever.
Yeah.
It's like you gotta.
I sent when I was 30, I sent thank you notes to all of my favorite musicians and all of my favorite artists and stuff. Like I'd go to a museum and like, oh, I like that artist. He's still alive. Okay, send a letter. I like that artist. She's still alive. Okay, send a letter.
That's
I
brilliant.
just got a letter from Gloria Steinem's secretary because she's writing an autobiography right now. And I said, I know she probably doesn't want to do my little tiny podcast, but just tell her I love her. And I got a nice little note back, which was fun.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So say thank you to people because thank you is a big deal.
Oh, it's huge.
And so on that segue, I have to thank my newest, coolest friend and his lovely bride who I didn't get to meet
Right.
for her lovely work too. We are going to make sure Sammy's documentaries get put out there. This has been Damion Poitier, uh, who you will no doubt see more and more and more of. And you probably, if you look and listen to Chains and Payday, you probably know exactly who he is anyway. But we have loved having him here. We will have him back again. And I know one of my German friends is saying, yeah, because I went to that park. And this has been the Antisocial Hour-ish show. And we will be seeing you next week. And thank you, Damion. You have been
Thank you so much for letting me drone
awesome.
on.